and clips on the beat.
Can you hear me? Hold on, your audio is coming in. Your audio is coming in.
Boom.
Boom. There we go.
There we go.
ADAM22 in the motherfucking building.
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world, and pretty excited to announce that we got one of the greatest all-time rappers in this bitch, Jadakiss. How you doing, man?
What's going on, G? We out here. What's popping?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I really, really appreciate you doing this with me right now, man. It's a super honor.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I had to fuck with the streets, you know. I had to support. I appreciate what you guys got going on. I seen you getting some pretty good interviews. So that's always my thing. I never want to be somebody's first interview. I'm like, yo, get a little catalog going, and then I'll hop on once it starts heating up a little bit.
Well, we've been doing this for about 3 years now, bro. So
Nice.
I'm about maybe 300 interviews in now. You know what I mean?
Well, you know,
yeah.
I mean, that's the hard part. The hard part is building up anything, you know, like those early days of being a content creator where you have like a very limited network. That's always the toughest shit, you know?
Oh, for sure. Even like with what we're talking about now, what's your process in booking interviews? Like, do you do it yourself or do you have a team doing it?
Yeah, I have a publicist named Laura who helps me out. She reaches out to guests. We just sit down, have brainstorming sessions, come up with ideas about guests. And then she sort of handles like the whole process of them showing up, telling them how to come into the space, and then like getting the social media stuff with them, helping get photos done, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's like, because I remember early on doing interviews, it would literally just be me in the back of the bike shop, take my iPhone, set it up on I didn't even have like a tripod. I just had a bike stand that you normally would clip a bike into to display it in the front of the store. And I would just put my iPhone in there, and then I would just set it up, record, film the audio track. Then I would go home, take the audio track, lay it over the video, have to move it around and shit because it didn't line up perfectly. And I would do the whole process myself. And now, luckily, I have a team so that, we can have better production quality without having to do every last thing myself. But it was pretty funny. I used to go I would do 2 or 3 interviews, and then I would sit there until 4 a.m. editing the shit.
Yeah. And you probably didn't have the fastest computer at the time neither.
Shitty ass MacBook, yo.
I can totally relate when you're doing an export and it takes like 18 hours for like one piece of content to export.
Yeah, that's actually fun though to think about that, because it's like, you know, you gotta remember shit like that when like nowadays, like I don't got time to sit down and like watch fucking nothing half the time. I mean, I do, but it's like I just have like a super short like when I'm working, I'm just moving so fast that it's like I want to watch like 5 minutes of something and then keep it moving. It's like back then I used to have all the time in the world to sit there and edit my shit and re-listen to a podcast I just did to make sure I liked it and all that.
Yeah. So even like right now, because I've been watching, I'm an avid watcher of the No Jumper podcast. I seen the other day you had the interview with Selena Powell. She came down from, where the hell did she come down from? Miami or some shit like
Denver.
that? Denver.
She lives in Denver.
I know she lives in Denver, but wasn't she in Miami? Then she came to you guys off the plane or something. She's telling some story about she was the only one of 2 people on the plane. And I'm like,
right.
Holy fuck, yeah. I really hope Adam and those guys are okay over there. You and House Phone and Cam Girl, because there was like not a lot of social distancing happening.
That's a good point. I probably should have worn a mask. I didn't really. It was a little early on the Corona thing. Now I'll probably wear a mask at this point. We don't have any interviews booked this week in terms of real life shit. So, it is what it is.
Are you guys going to be transitioning over to like what we're doing now, like with Zoom and stuff?
We've been doing some of that. We have a bunch of like FaceTime type interviews coming out over the course of the next few weeks. But then also like we've just been using this this time and like extra time to like really work on our news show, because we have a Snapchat news show that we've been doing like every 2 times a week, but we're trying to like make it like a daily thing, and also do it on YouTube and every social networking platform. Like I just want to really put together like a dope daily hip hop news show that's not necessarily like everybody tries to do conversation, you know, like they like, you know, everyday struggle, state of the culture, etc. It's always like, oh, let's find 2 people and have them do a really good conversation. Like I'm kind of trying to build like a news product that's more based on like giving people like a digest like of the news.
All right, guys, welcome back to No Jumper News. We're going to tell you all about Kodak Black and NBA YoungBoy, exactly who got stabbed and exactly who got arrested.
It's like I love Phil DeFranco and Drama Alert and shit like that. I really want to make like a hip hop version of that, you know?
Even with like, and that kind of brings me to my next question, because with us over here with the We Love Hip Hop podcast, we have a niche market of Toronto and people who are interested in like the Canadian scene, and they get put on to all the new Canadian music that we preview every week and stuff like that. So we have a niche market of people who are interested in Canadian hip hop. What do you think you guys' niche is, and how was that developed?
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the interesting thing, is that when you first start doing a podcast or a vlog or a show or whatever, it's like you just do whatever because you're not big yet. So you have no pressure. You can just do whatever you want.
Facts.
And then as you get bigger and bigger, it's almost like you kind of have to like figure out your identity. Like, why do I exist? Who am I? Like, why is No Jumper important at some point? Like, No Jumper was like self-evidently important in maybe 2017-ish, like when X was blowing up, when Lil Pump was coming out, when Zach from FTP and Suicide Boys and Yachty were all doing their first interviews with No Jumper, because at the time there was like nobody else doing those kind of interviews. And nowadays it is kind of different, because it's like, let's be real, if the next Lil Pump comes out next week, it's like I might not get that first interview. I want to get that first interview, but realistically, it's like Hot 97 and everybody else, like they all know that it's important to get content done with like pop and underground rappers before they really blow up. Like, so it's kind of like, how does No Jumper continue to have an important role? And that's the whole thing, is that you constantly have to be like adjusting what you do to stay relevant at the time. But I think that the one thing I've really been thinking about a lot is how it's really important to focus on your base of like, who is like the root of your thing, because like for you, like you're focused on really covering Toronto and like covering that area of hip hop. And, you know, let's just say that you catch a crazy ass wave like the one that I did in 2017, where you just get whoever the next like 3 top up and coming rappers, like say there's just a whole nother resurgence of Toronto. Obviously Toronto got plenty of dope rappers and everything, but you know, and if you just like really find yourself in the midst of a crazy ass wave, it's like you can ride the wave, but you got to know that at some point the wave mellows out a bit, and then you're still going to be stuck sitting there like thinking like, okay, well, did I forget who I was? Did I lose sight of what I wanted to do? And to be honest, like as No Jumper has like gone through, like, you know, because all these years in, we're not the only thing. Like there was a certain period where it felt like the only place to go get an interview if you were a new rapper was No Jumper. And it's like,
you were like the king of the hills.
You keep having to reinvent like who you are and why you should matter. And it's crazy, because your existing fan base is always going to sort of reject change, but you have to listen to that, but you also have to be willing to like do what you think is right, regardless of if, you know, knowing that there's going to be people that get their feelings hurt in the short term.
You know what? I've had some crazy even episodes with us with where we are, and we're, you know, some people tell us, yo, you guys are the shit for out here. And I don't even feel that way, because we don't have hundreds of thousands of views on our videos. But sometimes some people come at me super sideways because they haven't received an interview, or they feel that we've, you know, maybe overlooked them. What's the most sideways that somebody's ever come at you besides the gun incident?
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because there's definitely like been, you know, it was different when I was at the store all the time, because when I was at the store all the time, it was like I was too accessible. Like people would just show up acting crazy. And that dynamic was just fucked fucked up, and like especially when I was at the store, that shit was just like scary as fuck. But I don't know. I mean, I've had so much stupid shit. I had people like walk up and like show me money, like try to be like, oh, I got this 10,000, I got this 20,000, or like try to give me drugs, like, yo, I got this pint of lean for an interview right here, and I'm like, bro, I don't need a pint of lean that bad. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I mean, even if you think about somebody like 6ix9ine just bringing bitches over, like just, yeah. I mean, people just bringing hoes around like that seems so bugged out to me now, because I'm like, holy shit, I would never let a random ass fool in my hotel room, never mind with some hoes. Yeah. But, you know.
It's too dangerous out there for all that type of stuff. And you're way too high profile for that now, man. Like, I've been watching.
Yeah, now I'm boring. Now I stay home with my girl, Kat. We Netflix and chill. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I got much less risk tolerance than I used to, running around all crazy.
You're far from boring, Adam. Even when you're at home, you can just go have a scene and, you know, go back to whatever you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, the whole porn industry shut down right now, though.
Wow.
There's nothing going on.
Really, eh? It's like no scenes are happening at all?
Nah, my girl had a whole bunch of shit booked with me and her and other girls and all this shit, and all of it got canceled. Even though it was realistically only like a couple people getting together, it's kind of like all of the other porn people are kind of on board with the idea that right now they shouldn't be doing anything. I don't know when it's going to stop, but
yeah, that's crazy, man. So even like with that, like, did you guys have any for like the perv demographic, right? Did you have any big plans coming before all this whole COVID-19 started hitting?
Yeah, actually, dude, like we had a crazy ass show booked for South by Southwest with like amazing headliners. It was supposed to be like all my favorite Detroit rappers, basically. And we had this porn company who was going to pay for the whole thing. They were going to basically end up putting up like, I don't know, $40,000, $50,000 to like fucking do this show with us. And all they wanted was their logo on the flyer. They're like, we could do whatever, but they were going to book everything, put all the money up. And then they just wanted to like be part of it from a brand perspective or whatever. Yeah. And then boom, no South by Southwest. It's over.
Fuck. That's crazy. Crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, man, that sucks, man. A lot of people's bags have been fucked up. Like even the Fabio Foreign interview that I sent to you, he was talking about that, and like he had a South by Southwest show booked, a bunch of other shit, and you know, it's a kaput for all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Tell me a crazy New York story, because you've lived there for a while.
Oh man, crazy New York story. Oh my God. It's like, it's really, I lived there for like almost 10 years realistically. So it's kind of a question of like what period you want to go with. Because I could tell crazy DMX stories. I could tell crazy credit card scamming stories. I could tell crazy, like.
One from the BMX days.
I mean, wow. Oh man. All right. I mean, like one night that comes to mind with me was like when Four Loko first came out. And, there was like a night where I went out with like a bunch of homies riding. There was like 10 of us out in the streets, you know, and we were just getting fucked up. Like we were drinking so much Four Lokos and just being out on our BMX bikes. And, you know, I'm probably like 2, 3, 4 Lokos in. At some point I'll lose my shirt. I'm just with all these goons, and there's this like old ass picture I got of all of us on the Williamsburg Bridge with our shirts off. And I just remember that night, the main thing that happened was like, I split off from the whole group, went to some girl's house that I already knew. I get to her house, I sit down on her bed, and I just look at her, and I just go, I'm going to be honest, I can't do this. she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm really drunk, and I got to go. And I just fucking run out of her house. I grab my bike, and I pedal so fucking fast to my house, and I just explode. Puke. Like as I walk through the door, my stomach just explodes on the fucking ground. And it was because with the Four Loko, you would drink, and like the caffeine would have you super up, but you'd be drunk. But then the caffeine just wears off at some point, and then your body realizes like, no, you're really, really fucking drunk. And I remember one of my friends, he woke up, he was with me, and we broke apart, and I went to the girl's house, and he got arrested and he woke up in the hospital handcuffed to the bed because he tried to fight some cops. Yeah, and a lot of times I think about how if I stayed in New York, I definitely would probably be in jail right now.
Wow. Well, you're up now, man.
Wow. I don't know. We had a lot of crazy times back then, man.
That's a crazy fucking story, dude. So you're up now, right? You're ADAM22, the guy that everybody is calling for interviews. You know what I'm saying? You got millions of subscribers. Let me get in your pocket for a quick second. What's a monthly breakdown for you? Like what does it cost to be ADAM22 per month?
What does it cost? You want to know all my bills and shit?
Not like what your separate like specific bills are, but like rough estimate of like okay, let's even do a comparison. What it used to cost to be you like 10 years ago, and now what it costs to be you, let's say even on a daily 10 right now.
I mean, to be honest, there's no difference day to day besides like, okay, my car payment is higher. Sure, because I used to drive a piece of shit Civic, and now I drive a nice BMW. Sure, but definitely the biggest difference, to be honest, like, because honestly, I don't do any fancy expensive shit. Right. I might smoke more weed now, but I mean, I'm still a couple $1,000s a month on weed ain't gonna kill me. But I don't do jewelry. I don't do fancy clothes really. I mean, you know, like even my accountant was like making fun of me. My accountant was like, "You spent $10,000 on clothes for fucking 2018 and 2019." I'm like, he's like, I'll probably never had a conversation with any celebrity or entertainer who spent as little on clothes as you do. Yeah. I'm like, damn, I appreciate that. But the rent, mortgage now, that is the crazy part, is that I used to like really like rent like a 1-bedroom apartment for like $500, and now my rent is something like I won't say what, but it's definitely in the 5 figures. It's not rent, it's a mortgage, but you know.
Yeah. Well, put it this way: you're financially you're way smarter than a lot of people, because some rappers will spend 10 G's, 15 G's on a belt.
Nah, that shit retarded as fuck. I hate that shit. Honestly, I got fucking like $800 Prada shoes on right now, and I kind of feel like an asshole just because I feel like that's not really like who I want to be. I just want to be like a dude. I respect, like, you know, you look at like skaters and shit, and like they get rich and they just stay the same. Like I consider myself more that kind of person. Like, I don't know. I would rather be a guy who had $10 million in the bank and just still look exactly the same as I do now than somebody who got $10 million in the bank and they look like they got $10 million in the bank, you know?
Yeah. Look at Bill Gates, man.
You know that's what I'm saying. But that's also just like, that's like white privilege shit that you just like, you already like are so full of yourself that you're like, I already felt rich, so I don't even got to dress rich. I don't know.
Oh man. Okay. Last couple questions here. Because, you know, this is a pretty big moment for us. Like, you know, this is the biggest interview that we've had. Okay.
Yeah, I'll promote it. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm with it.
And I really, really appreciate that. And I was watching one of your interviews that you did with Jadakiss, and you were mentioning in the interview how you were like, you're kind of fanning out because, like, you know, this is, you know, you've been listening to Jada, as I have, and the Locks for years. Now,
since I was a little kid, since I didn't know shit, since I was like 12 or 13, like I was going through puberty listening to Jadakiss. So for some reason, that just is a special space in my heart, you know?
Yeah, I could imagine. Like, I'd probably have the same feeling if I'm sitting in front of Jadakiss as well, right? But my question to you is, have you ever met somebody finally and they're a total dickhead? And who?
I mean, I don't really feel like I ever met anybody who was a dickhead that I didn't kind of expect to be a dickhead. Like, you know, I've definitely met a bunch of rappers who are like, they're sort of like, they're standoffish. They're not super nice. Yeah. But it was never like, you know, like if I met Jay-Z tomorrow and Jay-Z just didn't say shit to me, it's not, I'm not going to be like, oh man, Jay-Z's a dick. No, I'm going to be like, Jay-Z is Jay-Z. Yeah. And if Jay-Z doesn't want to talk to me, then that's totally Jay-Z's right. Because I mean, you know, you sort of like start to get that perspective as you get more like important, is that, you know, it's actually crazy because the little tiny moments of you either being a dick or being nice to people are like the foundation of what everybody then judges you on. Like, you will forever hear like, I'll see people arguing about me online on Twitter or whatever, and it'll be one guy saying like, "Oh, I met ADAM22 one time, and he didn't want to take a picture with me, so he's a dickhead." And it'll be somebody else like, it'll be somebody like, "I met Adam, and he was super cool, and he hung out and smoked a blunt with me for 10 minutes," and like, but that's what they're arguing about. And it's like, bro, I probably didn't have anything to do when I sat there and smoked a blunt with you for 10 minutes. And then the guy who I maybe said I didn't want to take a picture, like, you don't know if me and my girlfriend were in a fight. You don't know if I just found out that my homie died. Like, there's so many things, like, because that's definitely happened. Like, I've definitely had people come up and try to take photos with me when I was straight up, like, in mourning, like, just found out that somebody got popped and, like, didn't know what the fuck to think, and had somebody walk up to me like, "Yo, can I get a photo?" and been like, "Nah, get the fuck out of here." And like, you know, I don't feel good about that, but at the same time, it's like, in a perfect world, that person might be able to realize, oh shit, maybe he's going through something. So for me, it's like, I feel like I would give almost anybody that credit, especially if they're like, because actually that did happen to me. I met Jadakiss. I told the story on the podcast, but I saw Jadakiss in Manhattan, and I sort of like, I kind of like went up to go towards him, and he didn't, I guess, know it was me or whatever, and he didn't really like, he sort of like went into the Sprinter and like wasn't in any hurry to like hop into a conversation right then. But it's like, you're Jadakiss at your own music video shoot. Of course, I'm going to think like, you're busy, and you might, like, if Jadakiss does know about me and gives me respect, dope, I appreciate it. Jadakiss doesn't, I get it. Like, what, Jadakiss isn't spending a bunch of time hanging out on YouTube watching interviews? Like, I'm not surprised if he is, but I'm also not surprised if he isn't, because I know people in the rap game who rap is their whole shit. Like, they go home and they're watching some fucking rap interviews on YouTube. I know people who like, the other day, actually, to be really doing, this is no shade at Sean Evans or at the baby, but I like went home and my girl put on a Hot Ones live interview with the baby, and I'm like, nah, I'm off work now. I ain't watching it. Like, you know, like that's the kind of shit that I would watch when I'm working. Like, I'm not really trying to just kick it and watch like a rapper interview like at night or whatever. Nah, I'm off work now.
Yeah,
like,
you
I don't
do
know,
rapper interviews.
Yeah, like, and Sean Evans is like a guy I know who like is doing an interview with the baby, who's another guy I know, and I have huge amounts of respect for him, because don't get me wrong, Sean is like, I'm doing amazing things in business and interviewing, and the baby's doing amazing things with his career. But, you know, it's like, I need some space. Like, at night, I'm watching a movie, I'm watching some Netflix. I'm not necessarily like going deeper and deeper into my rap fandom in every minute of my life, you know?
Yeah. That's me. I'm the psychopath that just constantly just like, I
respect it. No, but honestly, like, over time, I just sort of had to sort of like segment my life up a little bit more, in the sense of like my emails. Like, I get emails all day, but I wake up in the morning and then I answer all my emails, and then maybe later in the day I do another round of emails. And because I don't want to be like midnight, oh, I got an email, I'm gonna answer this email. It's like, no, like, I'm gonna let that email sit till 8 in the morning when I wake up, so I can answer it then. And I kind of feel like I started to feel sort of bored with like rap shit when I was like only thinking, oh, what am I going to listen to right now? Oh, what are the new rap albums that are out right now? Maybe I should, like, putting all my time into just listening to new rap music. Sort of started to make it get old to me. Like, I listen to a lot more like just random. Like, I drove to work today and I listened to O3 Greedo, random ass songs that I like of his off of random ass mixtapes of his. It wasn't like, I'm not preparing for anything with that. I was just singing along in my car, enjoying it, you know?
Yeah. So how do you get up on new music? Like, being so inundated with so much content all the time, right? How do you get up on new music? And second part of my question, how much music do you know about up here in Toronto?
How do I get on new music? I mean, of course, I'm just sort of like familiar with everything that's, you know, popping off. Like, any rapper that reaches any sort of popularity at this point, it's like almost impossible for me to not know about it, because the chat and the comments and everything is like, you know, even if I didn't want to know about that shit, I would still sort of be forced to know about it. So it's like, at this point, it's just such a part of my life to know what's going on with new rappers. I have a lot of friends who, like, that's what they hit me up about. They'll text me and say, yo, you seen this kid yet? And it'll be some kid with 50,000 followers, and he's got one song with 500,000 plays, and he's popping off out of whatever. And I mean, that shit is like, just, I don't know. That's just regular for me. That's why I'm in the position I am in, I think, is that we just are just generally interested in rap to the point where it's what we're paying attention to without having to try that hard. So that's why it's kind of weird for me when I look at, like, a lot of times I'll be talking to, like, an A&R who works at a label, and, like, yo, they're on some basketball scout shit. Like, this shit has nothing to do with if they like the music or not. It's just straight up like, oh, look at this kid. Like, he's good looking. His music sucks right now, but he has a nice tone to his voice. And we feel like maybe if we, like, do this, this, and this, then people will start to be able to fuck with him. I'm like, I'm more like interested in, like, a final product. Like, maybe I don't want to check this dude out until he's, like, sort of solidified as a human being. I don't know.
I think with us, and it's pretty much kind of the same model with us. I look to see if the artists are really serious about what they're doing, if they're consistently putting out material, and it's not just something that they're just trying out. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be a rapper because I think it's cool for the moment type of thing. Like, you really want to be a rapper kind of thing. Like, you put some money into music videos, and, you know?
It's so easy to spot the dudes who just want to be that thing, and they, like, will make 2 songs, and then they put the 2 songs on SoundCloud, and they buy a bunch of fucking cool clothes, and they take a bunch of stupid ass photos, and they're just, like, surprised that this shit ain't working. It's like, nah, like, if I was gonna put my money into an artist, it would be an artist who seemed like they were okay with being in their room or in the studio 8 to 10 hours a day and wanted to maybe put 1 or 2 hours a day into like, promotion, you know? Like, I would, like, because all the successful rappers that I know, that's one thing that almost always is true, is that they basically are ridiculous studio rats, you know? Like, they just will just be in the studio all the fucking time. And usually when dudes fall off, it's because they stop being like that and they start hanging out in the club and partying, and all of a sudden they're like, you know, whatever. But the dudes, like, who, because even the rappers I know who fell off, like, a lot of them still, like, they work their ass off and they've gotten a lot better musically, and sometimes they still fall off. So it's like, you got to really be in there grinding if you want to be competitive.
It's a lot of content to get through, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of content to cut through, you know? 6IX9INE, he's home. Okay?
Yeah.
Has him or his people reached out to you for an interview?
Nah, I ain't talked to him since I did that interview back in the day. Actually, I seen him one more time, I think, on the block, and just said hi to him, like, a couple weeks after that. But we never really had a relationship after that. Like, I felt like he, you know, we did the interview, and then I didn't really talk to him afterwards. And I very much felt like he sort of, like, used the No Jumper interview to get, like, a little bit of clout at the time, in the sense of, like, because, yo, he was thirsty for that interview. I've probably never been asked by anybody for an interview that many times.
Wow.
Yeah, but he was, like, begging for it. And then, you know, we gave it to him kind of early. And then all of a sudden, like, a couple months later, he's, like, huge. And then he didn't really fuck with us after that. And I didn't really ever fuck with him after that. I never really hit him up, or I just did the interview, and then he stopped talking to me, and then I stopped talking to him. And, you know, it's like with 6IX9INE, the funny thing is that he put me in the category of people that he wouldn't beef with, which to me is almost like, that means that he really didn't fuck with me because he wouldn't beef with me. Like, I said shit about him and he didn't respond. He was responding to everybody. He was responding to Ebro. He was responding to Kodak Black and YG and every goddamn rapper on the face of the earth. Academics. We're talking academics every day. He's commenting on World Star posts. He's commenting on Shade Room shit. I think that his whole thing with me was that he never wanted to give me more clout, which at the time he was so big that anybody that he mentioned or had anything to do with it would have such a positive or negative, I guess, but you would get so much
just traction, a lot of traction.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, fuck, man. I look at it the other way. I feel like he might be just keeping it where he's keeping a safe bay with you, and you'll never be able to say, well, I don't know if I want to interview you because you were talking all that shit about me. He just kept it cool.
I mean, if I was going to do an interview with him, I would have to just sit there and be real with him. So it's like, it probably wouldn't be a comfortable interview with him, because I would want to know about him doing all this bitch ass shit. Like, the shit that bothers me is him commenting on the Shade Room thing, talking about snitching, like acting like that shit's funny. It's like, bro, there's like a bunch of people who are in jail, and you're just making a joke about it. And this is the thing. Before, there was nothing that 6ix9ine could not joke about.
Yeah.
Before he would joke about anything, he would say, fuck your dead brother, fuck your dead mama, whatever. And everybody was like laughing at it because he actually really seemed like this, you know, in a weird way, he seemed like this person who was really that committed to being a gangster.
Yeah.
When he left that comment on the Shade Room thing, I'm not sure how everybody else is going to feel about it. But to me, I was like, wow, everything this dude does is going to read differently now, because beforehand it was like, oh, it's funny hearing him joke about this shit.
Yeah.
That comment did not seem funny to me. That comment seemed so fucking stupid and lame. I'm like, I don't think people are going to just think this guy's hilarious anymore.
Yeah.
I think he's really going to be a clown after this. Like a real, like, we're laughing at you clown.
Yeah.
Not a, hey, we're along for the ride, but we're only kind of halfway with you clown.
Well, I got my popcorn ready to see what the hell happens with this guy. You know what I'm saying? But Adam, I really, really appreciate you doing this with me, man. Like, fuck. I'm like, I just interviewed ADAM22.
Hey, honestly though, that means a lot. Like I really, it's like my biggest, one of my biggest goals for sure is definitely to just like inspire more content creators, because I think that we, like, if you really think about it, like there was a moment where I was kind of like, damn, it's like, in terms of people who are like really doing YouTube channels, it felt like there was only a couple people. Like I was really looking at academics early on. Like he was like kind of the only other dude who I felt like was doing really like DIY content out of his bedroom, basically.
Yeah.
Now there's a shitload. Now there's a lot more people, but I think it's like very good. Like I would just like to see more young dudes, not young, but just more dudes like, or women as well, of course, like try to be a commentator or try to be a person who makes YouTube videos or try to do that kind of thing instead of just trying to be a rapper, because that's like everybody thinks the rappers are so dope. Like, I mean, that's cool, but that's not for everybody. A lot of people would be much better off trying to pursue a career in the music industry or in content or whatever, you know? So I got a lot of respect for anybody who's trying to do the content thing. You know?
Well, I appreciate it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like we've come a long way. I've worked in the industry in many different ways. I used to be a rapper once upon a time. So I've gone through all of the different levels or I've worn all the different hats in the industry to come to just doing my own independent thing now. You know what I'm saying? So just, for sure, this is just something that just is going to help us catapult us to another level. And, you know, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, thank you so much, man. And I also want to say that I ate a lot of good Caribbean food the whole time I lived in Brooklyn. But then when I went to Toronto, that shit was fucking better there. And I couldn't believe it at the time. But I think I ate at the same fucking Jamaican spot like every day the last time I was in Toronto.
Well, we got the best Caribbean food in the world. Let the people know.
Stupid. And that's some of the best food, period, on earth.
Yeah. Well,
crazy.
My YouTube audience and the people on Instagram, when I repost the clips, are going to be like gun fingers and all kind of crazy shit, fire emojis when they hear that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, shit. All right, good. That's good to hear. I'm going to come back real soon as we're done being socially distant. Yeah,
man. And you got to pull up and smoke like a million blunts with us when we at our podcast studio. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we are.
That's real. I'm with it.
We're the world's most smoked out podcast. We interview people. We got weed sponsors. I know you got the no jumper Kush. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're on the same page.
I'm smoked out. I'm about to go smoke one right after this.
Facts. Hey, once again, thank you very much, Adam.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the support and showing love. It means a lot.
I'll be tuning in next time you go live, brother.
Amen. Stay safe.
You too, brother. Peace.